If you could spend a year in one African community documenting an issue, what will that issue be, and where would you go?
Honestly, Cameroon.
What were the factors that pushed you to leave Nigeria to the United Kingdom?
Somehow, being in Nigeria kind of limits the kind of opportunities you have access to.
Was there ever a time you considered abandoning photography entirely?
Yes.
So tell us about one of the best recognitions.
I have one in my head now. One that is very, very special to me is in a Canadian gallery. To the people present, they then announced that I got an award. Oh, wow. For my project, for the project that got featured in the art exhibition. I've never gotten an award before. That was my first. And
Where was that?
That was 2022. That should be 8 years into photography. That was a big deal for me. It felt so unreal. I realized even when you apply for some opportunities, maybe in the US, in Canada, and of course they will ask for your address and they say, okay, United Kingdom, I say I get accepted more compared to
because
because I'm here, compared to if I'm in Nigeria and I include my Nigerian address.
Tell us one of the rejections that hurts the most.
It's the African possibility. Your narrative starts now. Your narrative starts now. Welcome to the podcast.
Before he became a photographer, Bukunmi was a writer. He wrote poems, short stories, and fiction, until one day the camera effectively replaced the pen. For the past 12 years, he has continued telling stories, only now through images. His work has taken him across communities in Nigeria and other parts of Africa, documenting everyday life, culture, environmental change, and the experiences of ordinary people, with the conviction that what we photograph today may become the historical archive through which future generations understand us. But Bukunmi's journey has not been straightforward. Behind the exhibitions and international recognition are years of rejection, self-funded projects, financial difficulty, a period when he seriously considered abandoning photography, and eventually a decision to leave Nigeria for the United Kingdom in search for greater opportunities. In this conversation, we explore photography, migration, climate change, the global representation of Africa, rejection, resilience, and a much bigger question at the heart of his work: who gets to tell Africa's story, and what happens when Africans decide to tell it for themselves. Welcome to the African Possibility Podcast.
There are more than 1 billion African stories worth telling, and far too many of these stories have not been given the platform that they deserve. At the African Possibility Podcast, we are building a global platform where African voices, ideas, journeys, and possibilities are heard, connected, and celebrated across the world. But we cannot do this alone. We want to build this with you. Our next milestone is to hit 2,000 subscribers. So if you believe that African voices need to be heard globally, if you believe our voices need to be amplified across the world, if you believe that there is more to Africa than the narratives that the world is being shown, then subscribe to the African Possibility Podcast today. We are not just creating or telling African stories. There is more to it. We are connecting Africans. We are creating possibilities. We are building a platform that will outlive us when we are all gone. And these possibilities will lead to more connections, more collaborations, more mentorship, and indeed investment. Be among the first 2,000 subscribers who build this community with us at the very beginning. The story is just the beginning. Subscribe today and let's build African Possibility Podcast together. Thank you. So thank you, Bukunmi.
Thank you very much.
So before we talk about the exhibitions, the awards, and all the accolades you've received, who is Bukunmi before all of these?
Thank you very much for having me, Emmanuel. And my name is Bukunmi Oyewole, and I'm a photographer. And you said before all these things, before being in the photography world, apart from being in the photography world, who am I? Well, I used to be a writer. I used to write poems. I write short stories, fictions. and I'm good with words. Back then, I'm very good with words. Once I pick up a pen, I can write, and then at some point, I got into photography, and I was still writing, and when I got into photography fully, like, okay, I really want to do this, I stopped writing. And I used the camera to replace the pen.
Right.
I was writing stories, I was writing poems back then.
Right.
And the moment I dropped the pen and picked up the camera just continued the work of the pen.
Right.
So the camera replaced the pen, and I just continued telling stories with my camera, basically. And for the past 12 years now, I started photography August 10th. My first step into professional photography began on the 10th of August, 2014. And 2 days ago was 12 years? Maybe, this is, 2 days ago, August 10th, that should make it 12 years in the game now. But prior to that, I was a writer. I was writing, and now I'm a photographer, and it still revolves around my life, about everything I do. And
so kudos to you, and hearty congratulations for achieving this over the last 12 years. You've done
thank you
great works. Your works have appeared across different continents in the world.
That's right.
So before photography came into the whole scene, what was childhood like? At what point as a child did you realize that, okay, I've got a bit of this photography gift or something around photography?
Okay. So growing up, we have, you know how it is in Nigerian homes, where we have family albums. We have family albums, and growing up, we grew up with not digital camera. We grew up with film analog cameras, and my dad loves to take pictures too. Like family, we take family pictures. We take personal pictures, and we have everything. And he's not a photographer, but he has a photographer, and he has negatives of these films, and it's. When you put it to the lights and you see the negatives, it's quite fascinating when you're able to see the real pictures and the negatives. I'm like, how's this done? And from there, I became curious, like, okay, how are images made? And I don't know how my dad got this camera one day. One Sunday when we're going to church, we're all dressed, my sisters and I have 2 younger sisters, and we're all dressed, ready to go to church. And my dad used this analog camera to snap us, and the pictures came out nice. So I was watching him put the camera to his face, and it was quite fascinating. Like, if my dad can do this, maybe I will get to do this one day. So ever since, my curiosity about photography, about camera, began to grow. And when we have photographers visit our house to take pictures, I watch them, I observe them. And growing up also, I grew up with a photographer. His name is Kola Alabi. He is close to the family. He's close to us in the family, and he's a photographer, and I get fascinated. Memories with him also shaped my curiosity. But you can't near cameras as a child. You can't, because the way photographers protect their gadgets, like babies, like newborn babies. So my curiosity grew, and bit by bit, we started having phone cameras. So that's my access. That's when I began to have access to taking pictures. And I was taking pictures with phones back then. And I have a friend, he's my best friend, John Oyedoku. At some point, he was like, okay, you're really good with this photography thing. Have you thought of doing photography professionally? And when he told me, I'm like, okay, I think I can work towards it.
Yeah.
And as time goes by, we had a conversation and it made things happen, and I started my photography journey.
Yeah.
But growing up back then, I had always been curious about the camera.
Right.
When I then eventually started my photography journey, my professional photography journey, that was when I realized, okay, photography is more than what I even used to fantasize about. It's more than just taking pictures, family pictures. You can do much more with photography. And at some point during my university days, my younger sister got a digital camera gift, and I was using that also.
Okay.
I was using that after using camera phones. I was using that, and before I eventually became a professional. And yeah, when I even became a professional, I didn't have a camera.
Really?
So yeah, I didn't. When I started photography, I didn't have a camera, but I was doing something. I was reading about photography. I was researching. I was just reading on my Express Music phone. Yeah, back then, and so I already equipped myself with knowledge. I equipped myself with the technicalities. I equipped myself with how you can achieve certain style of pictures.
Right.
And the moment I started handling the camera, when I got a camera eventually, so all those things came in easy. Then be like, oh, you're so good at this thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I've read about this in my mind. I'm like, I've read about this, and it's just easier for me to start manifesting what I already read about and researched about.
So reading was also a major factor to your success in photography.
Yes. Another thing I forgot to mention is that growing up, I love to read novels. I love to read storybooks.
Yeah.
So from, of course, I started with storybooks. The Dreamer Boy, those are popular books, Sugar Girl back then, and The Drummer Boy, Chiki and the River, and books by Chinua Achebe. So starting from those ones, and then graduated into page-setter books too.
Right,
yeah. And then before I eventually started reading the big, bulky novels. My life too revolves around reading. I read in the toilet. Growing up, I read in the toilet. So I've been in the toilet, and they'd be like, it's been there for a long time. He's already reading. He went to the novel, and when I'm eating, I'm reading. When I'm in the vehicle, I'm reading taxis that they take you beyond your bus stop. And so that also helped me. So doing researches like that based on photography, became really, really easier also. And I also had the chance to participate in a photography school. So I attended a photography school in Lagos, and and I got certified, got the certificate, and I learned from, I have a boss. I had a boss who is now my mentor now in photography. I had a boss that taught me photography. That was, he ushered me into professional photography 12 years ago. And we still keep in touch. He taught me a lot, and he still, we keep in touch, and he still gives feedback too when necessary.
All right. Take us through your migration story. What were the factors that pushed you to leave Nigeria to the United Kingdom? Because, you were doing very well in Nigeria with documentary photography and all of that across Africa.
So honestly, I was doing very well in a way, but the satisfaction wasn't really enough. Like I felt I could do more, and somehow being in Nigeria kind of limits the kind of opportunities you have access to. And when you see certain exhibition opportunities, they talk about participating countries, and some African countries are not listed in there. Like, okay, that's a barrier. That could be a barrier, and it's an opportunity for me. So I'll be like, okay, maybe if I'm not in Nigeria, maybe I'll get the chance to do this. Maybe I'll get the chance to do that. At the same time, also, while in Nigeria, I was able to do exhibitions in Nigeria, but the appreciation isn't really coming.
Yeah.
It's not really coming as expected. You know, your work is supposed to be appreciated by, of course, maybe people around you, maybe people in your immediate environment. But sadly, when you're not really getting it, you feel like, okay, maybe if you try somewhere else.
Yeah.
And post-COVID was when I had a chance to say, okay, I can try UK. I can try to migrate to the UK and let's see what UK has to offer.
Right.
And since coming to this country, honest, at first, in fact, I wasn't doing photography. I was just focused on, okay, you gotta survive and everything. But as time goes on, I began to familiarize myself with what photography is like in the UK, what art is like in the UK. And when I came in, I started volunteering at St. Figan's Museum in Cardiff, and that was when I got acquainted with how art is like. That was where it all started, and we went through some trainings, and from there I started exploring. I started exploring opportunities. I started exploring what photography in the UK can offer me. Let me put it that way. And overall, it's been an interesting experience so far, because since it's different, because I realized even when you apply for some opportunities, maybe in the US, in Canada, and of course they will ask for your address and they say, okay, United Kingdom, I see I get accepted more compared to
because
maybe because I'm here, compared to if I'm in Nigeria and I include my Nigerian address. And another thing that might be a discouragement is maybe the payment factor. When they want to pay you, it's difficult getting funds back then, but now I think it's easier now. There are so many payment fintech organizations that make transatlantic transactions to be faster, to be easier. So back then it's easy. There was a time I got featured. My work got featured in a calendar, and they sent me the funds for it, and I never received it. And we started sending emails. I was sending emails to them. They were reaching out to their banks. I was reaching out to my bank. So they were like, okay, the money has been sent, but I've not gotten it. And they would reach out to me out of the blues, maybe after a month. Like, have you received the fund now? I'll be like, no. Then we start again. We start the back and forth on how to get the funds. And eventually the fund didn't even get to me directly. I had to talk to a friend in Germany to help me collect the funds so that it can get to me. So it's that crazy. So sometimes that could be a discouraging factor.
Were you in Nigeria at the point?
Yeah, I was in Nigeria. That could be a discouraging factor. For some of those organizations, like sending money to places like Nigeria, to some African countries, could be difficult. And
So Bukunmi, you've described your work as documenting present day realities so that future generations can experience them.
That's right. That's right.
Is there one photography in your body of work that you believe future generations may understand better than this present generation?
Oh, well, honestly, there's no particular picture. All my pictures that I take, I believe, would be experienced in the future, because all my pictures, the one thing I observed before I even arrived at, okay, I want to document for the future, I realized when people check out Nigeria on the map, Lagos pop up. Lagos pictures begins to pop up, and like, Lagos is more than Nigeria. I mean, Lagos is just a fraction of Nigeria. We're not seeing pictures of Kaduna, we're not seeing pictures of Taraba, we're not seeing pictures of Cross River State, we're not even seeing pictures of Ibadan that is close to Lagos. We see the yellow buses, we see skyscrapers. We don't get to see the beautiful places of attraction in other parts of the country. I'm like, okay, I think I need to I got work to do. Then I started traveling. That's where my traveling to. So at some point, I described myself as a travel photographer. I would travel to places. I would take pictures. And the essence of this is also at some point, when I see pictures from way back, when I see pictures from 1960, when they describe Nigeria, when they describe the old Lagos, see what we're talking about, the documented Lagos then. They described the Lagos of 1960, maybe because it was the Federal Capital Territory back then.
Yeah.
And you see how we see the few people on the road compared to the overpopulated Lagos that we have today. And you'd be like, oh, Lagos has always been this neat. Lagos has always been this beautiful. And you begin to wonder, like, okay, I can have something like that. When I take pictures in 2015 and maybe 20 years after, 50 years after, they'd be like, oh, yeah, that's Bukunmi's pictures. This was what 2015 was like back then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you understand. And let us begin to archive our work properly. And that's very, very important. And we don't have to tell the stories in a biased way. We have to tell it the original way, you understand the way it is, and so many things fueled these things. I was able to travel before leaving Nigeria. I was able to travel to 24 states to take pictures. 24 states in the country, in Nigeria, to take pictures, and I was able to visit 2 African countries also. At some point, I wanted to do a project tagged or themed Africa as it is. That was in 2018. I wrote proposals to some organizations, to EcoBank. They have presence in some African countries. I wrote proposals to I wrote a proposal rather to ABC Transport and some Pan-African organizations like that. I wanted to do 10 African countries along the Atlantic coast, from Nigeria to Benin Republic to Togo to Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire to, is it Liberia? Then after Liberia we have Sierra Leone, then Guinea-Bissau. I think one of the Guineas is on the list. Then I do Senegal and Gambia. I couldn't do it back then. Then I'm like, okay, I can just start with Benin Republic at least. So on my own, I traveled to Benin Republic.
So you didn't get the funding for that?
No, I didn't get any support, in fact. No funding, no support. And that's part of the problem we're talking about. Many organizations don't really see the need for these things. Compared to today, back then, they don't see it. But now, I think if I approach some organizations, they're willing to support. No. Because, we have organizations supporting some travel creators now. Like you see eSIM organizations, telecommunications organizations that do eSIMs. You see fintech organizations that do money exchange, if you want to travel, to make your travel easier, and many organizations that are happy to support these days compared to back then. So, so that's it.
All right. So, Bukunmi, when you enter a community with your camera, how do you decide which story needs to be or deserves to be preserved?
About that, usually when I enter a community, especially if it's a different language environment, I don't even, my camera is always the last thing I bring out. I blend in first. I enter a French-speaking community. I don't speak French. In my mind, I'm here to take pictures. I can't just bring out my camera and start taking pictures. I will need to find a way. How? I start by talking to you, because whoever I'm talking to might not understand English and I don't speak French. And from there, I begin to learn the language. I learn your greetings. I learn one thing or the other. And with time, we get to know each other. They'll be like, oh, what do you do? I'm a photographer. Where's your camera? Oh, it's here. Take a picture of me. From there, I'm gaining access. I will give an example. I was in Gambia. I was in the Gambia in October 2025.
Right.
I went to a fishing village.
Right.
Tangi fishing village. It's a really beautiful place, and all they do in the village is fishing. And I don't know anybody, and I understand Gambians are very friendly. I experienced it.
Yeah.
And they are very hospitable. But in this village that is in a different location, how do I approach these people? So going in and saying, oh, I want to see the market leader or the head of the market, that's a very long process. So you won't get to achieve anything. They might even ask you to wait for someone to grant approval or ask you to pay a certain fee or something, unnecessary fee. They might not even ask me to pay, but no. I walked in and I was taking pictures with my phone. I was asking questions. Oh, what kind of fish is this? Oh, when did the fishermen go into the sea? When did they call back? They were giving me information. Oh, where are you from? Are you not Gambian? Oh, I'm from Nigeria. From there, we speak English. That's in we speak the same English. Yeah. Then I will speak, when they give me certain information, I will tell them Jerry Jeff, and that's thank you in Wolof. They'll be like, oh, you're learning already. So from there, if their guard is up, they're already letting out their guard to a stranger. And from there, oh, can I take a picture of your fish with my phone? I start with the phone, and then I'll be like, I have my camera in here. Can I take a picture of this fish is big? So from there, sure. Then from there, I begin to gain access. And I would not only talk about what I'm seeing, I'll talk about the way of life, the community they have.
Yeah.
I would talk about basically the similarities we've got also.
Yeah.
When you notice, oh, the way they do things here, it's similar to how they do it in Nigeria also. Yeah. Maybe the way we caught our fishes in Nigeria is similar to, this is part of the story. So you'll be like, oh, from Nigeria to the Gambia, we have a lot of countries in between. And that means we've always been one people along the line, all this while. We've always been one people. And, well, I then begin to tell my stories. I ask questions about what I'm not familiar with. And I believe if I'm not familiar with something, I believe many people are not familiar with it. And that deserves to be told. That story deserves to be seen. And maybe they have to perform certain rituals. Maybe, I understand if some fishermen want to go out to the sea, they pray to the water goddess. They pray before heading out, for safety. So they go. I met a lady who said her father was a fisherman, and the dad went out to fish with a work colleague and never came back. That's also one of the stories. Oh, why are you doing this? For instance, if you say, why are you praying? Why do they pray? They pray for safety. When they go out to sea, they pray to the water goddess, and then they begin to share their stories. Oh, my dad went out to sea and never came back. You'll be like, oh, things like that. Oh, this is why they do this. That is why they do that. And you begin to connect all those dots as to why certain things are done. And we don't have to portray them as, oh, they are doing this kind of work. Does not mean they are suffering. No, you have to portray them with dignity. Yeah, you understand. So
tell their story with that sense of dignity.
That's right. So that's it. I look for similarities. I look for differences when shooting. I look for similarities. I look for differences, and I also look for what is new to me, what I'm not familiar with, so that the world would know too that, okay, this is how this is done in certain things, in certain places. Yeah.
So Bukunmi, you've done a lot of work around climate change.
That's right.
Environmental preservation and all of that.
Yeah.
Climate change is usually told around conferences.
That's right.
And they do that with regards to data, statistics, and all of that.
Yeah.
So how can a photographer tell the stories in such a way that people can understand climate change and understand that everyday people, common people, can understand it and understand the impact and effect of climate change?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. That question, yeah. So, when I started hearing about climate change, sustainability, I wanted to understand what it's all about. And you see write-ups that does not really describe what you want to know, something I can relate to. And like you said, statistics, data, and lots of technical jargons.
Yeah.
Then be like, okay, this can be simplified by putting out regular pictures out there. And eventually I realized, okay, this thing is not so hard. These are everyday things. These are everyday actions that we take that affect the environment. All we need to do is to educate people visually. Like, you make them understand this would happen when you keep doing this. But how do you then tell the story? First, I needed to equip myself with all those climate change and sustainability jargons. Like, okay, I need to understand what it's all about. So I did a crash course. I think it's a BBC climate course, something like that. That was in Nigeria back then.
Yeah.
I did a course to just acquaint myself with what it's all about.
Right.
So when I then understand what it's all about, I then realized, okay, yeah, this can be put into pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures people can relate to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. For instance, take picture of plastics close to the sea.
Yeah.
Then you tell your stories around it, how the plastic would then affect the fishes in the ocean. And in addition to that, I was at a riverine community in Nigeria. I was at a riverine community, and they saw this big fish. They were holding it, and everybody was amazed. I was amazed too, like, oh, this is big, this is huge.
Yeah.
And the man was like, this is not normal. Like, back then, 20 years ago, when we were fishing here, you see fishes. You see fishes around close to the shore. You don't have to travel far into the sea. Like, then he was saying, but now the waters have been polluted, and they then have to go out to fish. And when we say to fish, small fishes. So that's why seeing a big fish like this becomes a big deal. Yeah, and he said back then it wasn't a big deal. You see them everywhere.
Because the waters were clean, the sea was clean.
Exactly, yeah, but now everywhere is polluted. The atmosphere is polluted. The air we breathe in is polluted, and even the earth, the ground, everywhere is just messed up. And these things have negative effects. Yeah. So you then let people understand, don't drop your plastics close to the ocean. Protect the sea, protect the waters. Or if let's pick it from another angle, then maybe the air would breathe in also, maybe. They say many of these things are still being done in Nigeria, where people just do open bush burning, and the air becomes affected. And they talk about how we are depleting the ozone layer, how the sun is becoming more, how it's becoming harsher on us, and how everything is just becoming extreme, which we call extreme weather conditions.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just all encompassing, and all we need to do is to tell the stories. I did a project on home gardening. And when I was talking to this person, the person was planting some vegetables in his compound. When I was talking to him, I did a project on him, and when he was educating me, he said all he was doing is shortening the food chain from the market to the from the farm to the market, from the market to the final consumer, before it gets to the kitchen, and before they start eating. Like, all he needed to do is to walk into his backyard, get some vegetables, and straight into his kitchen, instead of having to go into the market and purchase all those stuffs. And many other stories. It's all encompassing, and all we needed to do is to make it visually simple, something they can relate to. Maybe you let people know, doing this would affect that. Improving your environment. For instance, cutting trees, which is still happening in African countries, and we still cut down our trees, and we should be conserving our trees instead, so that would, if they know that, okay, this thing you're doing would affect a lot of things. If you cut down a tree, the birds would fly away. The forest would have lesser trees. Yeah. I think the trees give us carbon dioxide? Oxygen, sorry. I'm not a science student. Yeah, it gives us oxygen, and that oxygen is beneficial to man. If you cut down this tree, it's going to affect us. It will affect the soil. Yeah. It will affect the creeping animals. Yeah. It will affect rodents in the forest. If you make them understand, it's just not one thing that will be affected, but a lot of things will be affected. They will begin to understand, okay, but we need these trees. Yeah, what you need to do is maybe as you're cutting down trees, you can plant also. Yeah, so
you cut one, you plant five.
You understand. Cut so one, to just replace and keep the cycle going, and to just protect the environment, and many other things that are relatable, and that's it.
Yeah. So if you could spend a year, you could spend a year in one African community, documenting an issue.
Yeah.
Right. What will that issue be, and where will you go?
Honestly, Cameroon. Yeah. Right. So I was in Cameroon for a project, and one thing I heard that shocked me was that Cameroon has lots of trees, plenty trees. Even if you check the map, the world map, or the map of Africa, the Cameroon, the Cameroonian side of the map, or the Cameroonian region of the map, is so green compared to if you're seeing Mali, if you're seeing Burkina Faso, or some desert areas, or some landlocked areas. But Cameroonian side is so green that you'd be like, okay, these are lots of trees, but inside the country, they're cutting down trees. And another shocking thing is that government knows about it. So if I have the opportunity, I'll go to Cameroon to tell the stories, to give orientations, to talk about the disadvantage, to let them know what's happening. Like, I'll be there. I will even discover a lot of things that I won't prepare for. I'll go deep into the forest and let them know this. Well, they have forest guards, and I understand forest guards are also in support. It's not good. If only they have that orientation, because government should even be fighting against illegal logging of trees. But then government is surprisingly Cameroonian government is surprisingly the one encouraging all these things. And I'll go to Cameroon and find my way to just make it stop. Right. And even if it's not going to stop, you make them
mitigate it.
Yeah, understand.
Yeah.
Your plants, you replace it. You replace the trees you're cutting down. And so
great.
Cameroon it is.
Interesting. So your work has received a lot of recognition, international recognitions.
Thanks to God.
Behind those recognitions, of course, there must have been some rejections.
Yes, lots.
So tell us about the recognition that one of the best recognitions, and then tell us one of the rejections that hurts the most.
Okay. Yeah, I have one in my head now. So one that is very, very special to me is in a Canadian gallery, Liquid Art and Research Gallery in Thunderbolt, I think Ontario. Yeah. So they featured my work in their exhibition, and then they asked me to do a presentation. I was in Canada then, I was in Nigeria, so I did a Zoom presentation of my artwork, and they then eventually announced to the people present. They then announced that I got an award. Oh wow! For my project, for the project that got featured in the art exhibition. I've never gotten an award before. That was my first, and yeah, it felt so unreal.
What year was that?
That was 2022. That's 2022. Yeah. See, that should be 8 years into photography. That was a big deal for me. And is that 8 years?
So sorry, for 8 years, there's been no recognition or
no recognition,
national or international recognition.
No recognition. In fact, I should go back to when I started photography. I was doing my regular photography, and I was shooting events. I was shooting weddings, and then in my mind, I'm like, I wasn't really getting that satisfaction when clients deal with you anyhow. They won't pay you.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy, this is not for me. This is not for me. Then I attended a conference in Lagos, in fact.
Yeah.
And I heard some people speak where they talked about their maybe documentary pictures, their fine art pictures. And then my eyes begin to open to a lot of things. Okay, there's more to this. There's more to shooting events. And then I developed that interest also. Mind you, when I was shooting events, I said I was a writer. I was still writing. Then my camera had not replaced the pen back then.
Yeah.
But when I got into this side of photography, when I started telling the stories about the common man on the streets, about certain things, certain actions, then I realized, okay, I'm actually telling stories.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk about how I started and I got into documentary photography, fine art photography. Then I was just doing my thing, and I got featured in my exhibition in 2018, my first exhibition. I got featured in exhibitions, two exhibitions in 2018, but my first was still in 2018.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And since then, I got featured in magazines. I was getting the features endlessly. And it was a good feeling.
Yeah.
But when I got that award from that Canadian gallery, that was a big deal for me. Like, we're getting somewhere. I'm like, these things are possible.
Yeah.
These opportunities are endless, and all I needed to do was to keep exploring it.
So that pushed you to do more. Yeah.
To do more. When I did my first exhibition, it was at a Nigerian photography conference, and I saw my artworks on the wall. I was taking pictures of it endlessly. Like, okay, this feels good. And then another exhibition in that same 2018, I'm like, okay, we can do this. Then I started pushing for more opportunities. When COVID struck, also was another chance for me to understand how it is in the art world, how you can get your work out there the more, how you can get that visibility, how you can get that recognition. So when galleries started opening up in 2021 also, I got lots of features in 2021 too, both in Nigeria and abroad too, that I got paid for. And the one for 2022 was when they said the award, when they told me about the award, when they announced, I'm like, okay, and
So which rejection has hurt you the most?
But so there was this opportunity I was supposed to go for in Senegal.
Yeah.
In Senegal, then when I was in Nigeria. And I already had this conversation. It's even supposed to be a project. So the essence of doing all this work is to, you have the portfolio and you should be able to go on assignments for certain organizations. Let me try to remember the organization now. I can't remember. But it's an international NGO. And I was communicating with this person via email, and we already have a set date, and we already agreed on the price. They asked for my daily rate and everything, and when I'll be going to start the project. And the next thing they asked me is, do I speak French? That was the only thing that make them reject the whole thing. They just turned down the opportunity. Like, okay, we can. And I'm like, I can always get a guide. I can get an interpreter or someone that can translate for me. I'm like, anything to just make it work. They said no. Like, I had to speak French. I was all, because the money is good. The money is good. I'm like, language barrier now. Well, I can't lie that I can't speak French, and well, I just had to let it go. I was deeply hurt because I was mentally prepared. I was already making arrangements.
Wow.
When they said, "Oh well, we can't proceed with this," it's hot.
It was a big blow.
In my belly, you know.
So was there ever a time you considered abandoning photography entirely?
Yes, I can remember. Oh yeah. So when I remember this day in 2017, I was like, is this photography really for me? I was already doing photography more than I was doing event. No, I was already doing documentary.
Yeah.
More than when I was doing events back then. And I'm like, is this photography really for me? And I wasn't really getting paid. It's not really paying off.
Yeah.
And instead, what I was even doing at that time, I said I was traveling to different states in the country. No funding from anywhere. I would shoot events. I would use that money to travel, to do my other projects, self-sponsored projects.
Yeah.
And okay, I then realized, am I sure I want to do this? I thought of stopping. Like, I don't want to do it again. Yes. Yeah. Then I was broke. I was downcast, and yeah, I wasn't happy too, because things became difficult, sort of, and things became hard. Thought of stopping photography and maybe to just get a job, to get a proper job, to get a white collar job. Then I decided, okay, let me teach. I went into teaching.
Really? So you took a paid job then?
I did what?
You took a paid job. Was it like a paid job?
Yeah, I took a paid job then. I went into teaching, and the pay was small, but I was able to use it to support myself while still doing photography.
All right.
So the interesting thing is, at that point, I liked it because I wasn't abandoning photography entirely. I was working, and I was still able to do my photography. So, and that teaching experience was another experience entirely, because I studied English language in the university, and by default, I will be teaching English.
Yeah.
So I taught English and literature back then, and my class was interesting. I talked to my students about my travel experiences, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, on so date, I'll be traveling to Kaduna State," and they'll be the one reminding me, "Uncle, when are you going? Are you preparing for your journey? Uncle, will you tell us your travel experiences?" Blah, blah, blah. So the whole experience was even fun fit for me.
Yeah.
And I did the journey from Lagos to Kaduna by train, in fact. And when I came back, I was teaching. And I was also telling them about my travel experiences. They want to listen to the travel experiences more than the
lessons.
Yeah, than the lessons, in fact. But the point of this part is I was able to widen their horizon regarding traveling. Like, if you travel to certain places that is not within your locality, if you go to a new environment entirely, you learn a lot of things. You learn along the way. Because I see travel as an opportunity to just learn.
Yeah, to educate yourself.
Outside the classroom. Since you won't learn in the classroom, you learn when you travel. I was able to let them do that, to let them understand that you can do it too.
Yeah. So what have been the greatest challenge for you in your creative journey? Has it been lack of money, access, opportunities, equipment, or believe in yourself?
No, those. I really would not see that as challenge, but basically opportunities. The opportunities is the issue. Because most times I have lots of pictures that I've taken in Nigeria and many other African countries, and those stories need to be put out there. But most times they get rejected when you decide, oh, this would really fit the theme of this open call for submission. Eventually they get turned down. Like, oh, yeah, okay. But instead of, at some point also, I decided instead of waiting for platforms to accept this, stories, yeah, well, I can create the platform myself. But I've not done anything yet. But I'm working on something.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully something will come up. Yeah. So as an African photographer, have you felt the need to challenge poverty, hopelessness, sickness and diseases as Africa has been depicted to the world?
Yeah, actually, yes, I have, which is also one of the reasons I'm doing all these stories I'm telling. Like, we need to portray the continent in beautiful light.
Right.
Gone are the days when we show pictures of poverty
and
illiteracy, diseases, maybe post-election violence.
There's poverty everywhere in the world.
Yeah,
there are homeless people everywhere. Even
that's right.
In the United Kingdom.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
But the whole thing is
Africa has been portrayed that way and projected to the world that way.
Exactly.
And so, what are you doing with your photography to change that narrative?
Well, what I'm doing with my photography to change that narrative is beyond. How do I explain it now? This is beyond me alone.
Yeah.
I travel to places. I tell these stories.
Yeah.
I put them out there. This is what. Even I do video vlogging. I take videos. I shoot videos to tell the stories also on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But another thing I'm doing is I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
I can't tell the stories alone and then say I'm negating the other stories we have out there. No.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm doing personally is to raise the same soldiers like me.
Right.
They'll be photographers, storytellers that would put the stories out there too.
So this calls for collaboration now.
Oh, well, not even collaboration. Maybe to open the eyes of emerging photographers to these opportunities. Like, okay, this camera you have in your hand is powerful, and you can tell your stories. You need to tell your stories in positive light. You need to tell stories of people with, let me use the word again, dignity. Like, don't portray them as vulnerable. No.
Yeah.
And that's reflected in the project I did in the Gambia. I was in Gambia again in March 2026 this year, and I did a workshop, but this was sponsored by the British Embassy in the Gambia. I did a workshop in the Gambia, and we did something like this. But that revolved around climate storytelling, visual storytelling. Yeah, back then. But yeah, it's still the same. So if you're going to tell climate stories, don't show just the vulnerability. Show their resilience. Show what they're doing to also survive that experience. Like, okay, everything should not just be about disaster. Show what they're doing in good light also. So the essence is, what I'm doing is to raise the same soldiers. Like, you guys have the opportunity to tell these stories also in good light. You pick up your camera, and if you go to villages, you don't have to necessarily show vulnerable people, or the fact that someone is into farming does not mean they are poor.
Exactly.
Like, the fact that someone is into certain menial jobs does not mean they're poor or suffering. No, but you just have to show them in good light. So the project, the assignment, or the personal goal is to also educate people in my field, in photography, as to how they need to do this, as to why they need to do this, and it just has to be done.
Yeah, so this is on the side of other emerging photographers. So
now.
what do you think the government can do to help portray Africa in a bright light and put Africa on that place, that map, put Africa where we want it to be?
Honestly, if we put it to honestly, our government, African government, they are very, very unserious. Honestly, I must say, they are very, very unserious. Many of them are self-centered and they don't care. They don't care. But then we don't have to wait. Do we have to wait for the government? We can create that platform, and people are already creating those platforms.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing, even with the podcast, African.
Thank you very much.
Podcast. That's what you are doing with your
photography
and your platform.
Yeah.
But is there any way you think that they can support what we are all doing to put Africa on the map?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, the way it works, the way people put Africa in negative light is through the media. We're still going to be the media. We're going to use the media to counter it. Yeah, like they should invest in the media.
Right.
The photography is part of media. Right. Filmmaking is part of media. Podcasting is part of media. They should invest heavily in media. There should be good incentives. Like, okay, if you do this, you get this as your reward. At least there should be, because people do it for passion, but they should also do it for what it gets to, like, they get paid, exactly, to keep them going, to keep that fire burning, or else it dies. So the government should simply, I'm not even, honestly, when I say the government, African government, all of them, they're not taking it the way it should. So I'm looking at it beyond a single country's government. Now I'm looking at it holistically. Maybe AU. Sorry, I said AU now, African Union. They should have something specially set up. Let me take that again. They should have something dedicated. That's the word now. They should have a dedicated. Maybe I don't know how it works there. Well, they should just dedicate something related to media to negate this thing, because it concerns us all. Yeah. Exactly. So they should. We're gonna use the media. The Western world use the media big also. Time. Yeah. Exactly. So they should invest in it heavily. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So well, as we conclude, our signature question. Yeah. When you think about Africa, when you think about particularly the future of Africa, what is one possibility that gives you the most hope about the future of Africa?
Honestly, Africa is emerging big time now, and there's a big focus on Africa as a continent now, because it's a land of opportunity. It has a youthful population too, and the youth, they are not waiting.
Yeah.
They're not waiting on government. Yeah. Youth are inventing so many things. Okay, so I read about someone who grew up as they have, what's it called? They have a farm, and they watch the disease affect their farm.
Yeah.
And this person grew up to become, she used AI, she used the technology to invent something. They installed cameras on the farm. It will scan their plants, and they will be able to get notified of maybe an impending disease that might show up in that plant. Yeah. They'll be able to scan it before they get affected, and then they would treat it accordingly. Yeah. If they need to do anything, if they need to weed that particular weed off, if they need to fumigate, if they need to just take care of it, just not affect the entire plant. So the camera will scan, it would then tell them, oh, this is what you need to do. Someone invented that.
Wow.
in Africa. That should be a reminder, or I'm not sure of the country now.
Yeah.
I heard of someone also that has a flock of sheep.
Yeah.
And growing up, there was a time a particular disease wiped out his animals. The sheep and rabbits were affected, and it wiped out, disease wiped out the family's animals. And he grew up, he invented something they put on the animal's ears. And I think before any disease come up on the animal, they get notified through that stuff they put on the ear.
Yeah.
And it detects, that stuff detects any incoming disease.
Wow.
48 hours before it happens.
Wow.
Then they'll be able to vaccinate or treat. So these inventions are coming out from Africa.
Right.
These are African inventions that needs to beget, that needs to be put out, that needs to. So Africa is the future, and I believe the eyes of the world is on us to emerge. Yeah.
All right, Bukunmi, thank you very much. Our last question is from a guest who you don't know, but the lead question for the next guest.
Okay.
So this is a question from the previous guest for you. And it says, if you could go back in time and do one thing differently, what would you change? One thing.
One thing?
Yeah.
If I could, to change in the world, or to change personally about myself, or
yourself, or anything.
If I could go back, honestly, the social class, the class in the country.
In Africa?
In Africa, in African countries.
Yeah.
It is so wide between the rich and the poor.
So we need to bridge that.
To close that gap. That's something I need to do. And if you think about it, this has been going on for long, and it keeps the gap keeps going wider. But if I have the chance to change something, maybe become the AU president or become the president of a country, I would love to close that gap.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of it to let it fester into the future that we are in today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you very much. And keep thinking about that. Keep thinking about that possibility, because with what we believe is that anything is possible, especially if it is for positive change and for the betterment of Africa. Yeah. So thank you very much. Bukunmi.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you're watching the African Possibility podcast now and you have not subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you could get all the stories when they come to you. Thank you.